All right, y'all, sit down, lie down, squat down, but I'm back. Belle Tellz. So we are going to do my candles. Actually, a couple of y'all have asked me when I was going to do this, so we're going to do it. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a small pot to cook the wax in, 5, depending on how many candles you want to make. But I like to make about, this is going to make you about 6 to 7, sometimes 8, depending on how much I fill up the mason jars, because I use mason jars. So anyways, you're gonna need 5 pounds of wax. This is soy wax. And then you're gonna need another bigger pot because you got to fill it with water. And then you're gonna set this in there, and I'm gonna show you how to do that because you got to cook the wax. You're gonna need a candy thermometer, a ladle, which obviously I've been using this. I use mason jars, wax dye. You need some type of little, I don't want to say, well, some type of little pot to pour it in, because the wax is gonna get really hot, and I'll show you how I do that. I like to use the wooden wicks, and moving forward I'm going to use different wicks because I like for it to crackle, and these just don't really crackle. I'm going to use the spiced pumpkin. I'm going to use Yankee candle scent, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of scented oil because I'm doing the fall scent. And then I also have a wax trim or a wick trimmer coming in, but I'm going to show you how I've been doing it. So this is kind of a new project I've been doing. I really kind of enjoy it, so I'm kind of learning as I go. So let's go ahead and fill up the pot. So I'm going to fill it up probably to about here. It looks like I've already got it marked. Obviously I've done this a time or two. So we're going to fill the water up to here. All right, we've about got that filled, and then I'm going to move this over to the stove. All right, so I'm going to start this. Here we go. All right, so we're going to take this wax, pour it in here, and I prefer to do it in the sink. That way if something spills or whatever, it's easier to clean in here. All right, so that's all the wax. I've poured it in there, and we're going to move this to the stove, and you're going to set it inside the water because you do this so it doesn't burn your wax, and it just helps it cook more thoroughly, because you've got to get your wax up to about 185 degrees before you can start adding any scent, or it just won't stick to the wax. All right, so I have gotten the smaller pot inside the bigger pot, and it's obviously right now light because the wax hasn't started to melt. And so it's going to be kind of wobbly. It's the best word I can use. Okay, and as you can see, I've started to line up the mason jars. Because once you stick the wax in, or the wick in, you want to kind of keep them all lined up. Because if you move them, it'll move the wick. And I'll show you that when I get ready to do that. But I also have ordered some stickers that will, let me show you. So they'll go with the bottom of that. So when I stick it in, I don't have to no longer balance it. It'll just stay. Because when you start pouring the wax in, sometimes those move, and it takes a minute to get them balanced. And the wick cutter that I have ordered, you want to get it, so I filled it up to about here with the wax. And so the wick, you want it to come to about here. So I'm going to have to trim it with scissors, and I'm going to show y'all how I do that. I manually trim them right now, but it'll be easier once I get it to where, after I get it filled up, I'll know where to cut that wick. All right, so you're going to need, for the wooden wicks, you need these. They're like they hold the wick. And because, like I said, I'm still learning process, I have to use 2 of these. The new ones that I've ordered, I only have to use 1 because they will burn better. And this is all a whole new little hobby and process. So I'm going to put them in. Let me show you. Okay, so you're going to put them in like so. I've got 1 in, and so you have to double up on these wooden wicks. Uh-oh. Hold on. All right, so I just put the broke part on top. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so next, let's trim it. All right, so I'm gonna cut, this is another reason why I want the wick cutter, because it'll be easier after I fill it up. I'll know where to cut it. Until then, I have to just kind of roughly estimate. So I'll fill it to this line right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it to right here. I really should probably cut it to about here, but again, I need the wet cutter. And then once I get the little stickers, and I may do this, I'm not for sure, but I may do this again like when we get closer to Christmas, because I'll have the little stickers and I'll show you how much easier it is. All right, so as you can see, I have cut it, and I'm gonna do this with all the candles, and I'm gonna try and, so after I get all the wicks cut, I'm going to try and line them all up in each mason jar, because once we start pouring, you'll, well, I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but with one hand I have to kind of hold the wick, and then with the other hand I have to pour it in on the side. All right, and as you can see, we are still trying to cook that wax down. It takes a few minutes to melt the wax completely. Once that's done, I'll make sure once it's done that it is at 185 degrees. And then I'm gonna put my wax, I choose wax warmers for the scent. I like Yankee, so I'm going to use the spiced pumpkin, and I use 2 of these per 5 pounds of wax, plus some essential oil. All right, so this has been cooking about 20 minutes, and as you can see, it's just now starting to melt. And because that water is beginning to boil. All right, we are now starting to make more progress on melting this wax, and I actually made a boo-boo because it's heavier before it melts. Because it looks like it's moving around now that it's melting. So we're getting closer. This is going to be your most time-consuming part, is getting this wax to melt. All right, and now that it is finally, the wax is finally starting to melt, I'm gonna go ahead and add, oh, it's not focusing. There it goes. I'm going to add the wax coloring. You don't have to have wax coloring, but I like it because your candles are always gonna be white. All right, so I'm gonna add probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drops. Let's see what that does, and then I may add more. All right, now as you can see, we're making headway, but I feel like the wax is a little yellowy to me with the coloring, so I'm gonna add a little bit more orange. So I added some more. I'm gonna kind of stir that around a little bit to see what color it looks like. It's a little more orange. Here, let me show you. You can see it better when I do it with the ladle. Like it's a little bit still yellowy to me, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. All right, now I know it looks kind of yellowy on camera, but it's honestly really orange. So we are going to use the thermometer, and I'm gonna check the temperature right now. I just want to kind of see where we're at. All right, so we're not quite there yet. We're only at 146 degrees. All right, we've just got that little bit of wax that's left. And then we can start, then I've got to keep checking the temperature. Let's actually go ahead and do that now. All right, let me get it over here so it's not hot on my hand. Got to keep checking that temperature. Ooh, ooh, it's getting hot. All right, we're at 180 now. Almost there. All right, we are at 185 temperature-wise, so I'm going to add this one. For right now, I'm going to add, this is the essential oil. I'm just going to add a little bit of that before I add in the other wax. So that's what it's going to kind of look like when it finally, about the time you're ready to start putting in the scented wax. It's going to be bubbling and You're going to need some heavy pot holders and oven mitts if you have them. So I like to break these down and place them inside the ladle because that wax is hot and it is steaming. Alright, so as you can see, I've got them in the ladle. I'm going to transfer them over to the pot. Gently, gently, gently set them down. I'm going to do the next batch of wax in now. Alright, so we've got those all dropped in, and you just leave them in there till they completely melt into the soy wax. And then we're going to start transfer them over to the mason jars. And again, let me show you. You don't have to do mason jars if you don't want to. It's any jar you want to do. I just like it because I am actually transferring my decor over to like that farmhouse theme, and so these just go better with my decor. Alright, and that wax is almost done. And the house smells so good too. Alrighty, it's time. Alright, so you're going to need, like I said, a small glass pitcher. And I like to bring it as close as I can to the stove so you don't have wax melting on your countertops. Well, and because it's going to drip. Alright, so I'm going to do the best I can. So I dip the ladle in, obviously. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do the next one. And I do this till it gets to about that where that silver rim is. Alright, so I've got that full, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this fire off. Now I'm going to show you all how I pour it into these jars. Okay, so let me do this one. I think that'd be the best bet. Very, very carefully. This is why, you see how that wax is moving around, or that wick is moving? This is why I'm going to get the stickers. Because now I have to replace that wick. Dadgummit. Okay. Alright, so get it to just stay still. Oh, gotta bring it back. Yeah, hold on. Let me work with this a second. Alright, y'all, so that is it. I got it all lined up. Now, see? That one spilled a little bit. That's fine. It's no biggie. So that's kind of what they look like. Now we just got to wait for them to completely cool down. And then we can burn them. Alright, y'all. Please and thank yous are a must. Smile never hurt no one. Be cognizant of the things you say and how you say them. Because kindness is priceless. Have a good week.